the decision we have is, do we play out the Cloudkin Seer, which when it enters draws us a card, which is good, or we consider our next turn. So we play the Warden of Evos Isle. Creature spells with flying you cast cost 1 less to cast. So this turn 3 play can lead into a reduction of the Cloudkin Seer from 3 mana to 2 mana, and then we can double spell and draw 2 cards on our 4th turn here. So draw our card first, see if we draw into something better. Okay, that might be better. So now this would reduce creature spells with flying by an additional 1. The thing to consider, that is just 1 mana colorless. It doesn't take away the pip. So now our 3 mana Cloudkin Seer only costs 1 blue. And then we have our second unsummon if they happen to play out the spider again. So they commit 5 mana here. And then we are going to effectively gain the advantage, right? We're going to use a 1 mana spell to counteract their 5 mana spell. So our cheap blue interaction there really won us the trade off in resources. Hey there, cons. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to take a look at the color challenge, and this is looking at blue. So blue likes to do some flying things, some instance and sorcery things, some wizard things. Generally, a lot of times if we cast spells on our opponent's turn, we're doing something cool. Alright, I believe what this deck is trying to do is show you some mana discounts of flyers. At least game 1 here. So the decision we have is, do we play out the Cloudkin Seer, which when it enters draws us a card, which is good, or we consider our next turn. So we play the Warden of Evos Isle. Creature spells with flying you cast cost 1 less to cast. So this turn 3 play can lead into a reduction of the Cloudkin Seer from 3 mana to 2 mana, and then we can double spell and draw 2 cards on our 4th turn here. So that is, what I think this tutorial is trying to make us consider how to best use our mana and develop our board. So now in turn 4, we can double spell our 2 drops because they have been reduced in mana. So draw our card first, see if we draw into something better. Okay, that might be better. So now this would reduce creature spells with flying by an additional 1. The thing to consider, that is just 1 mana colorless. It doesn't take away the pip. So now our 3 mana Cloudkin Seer only costs 1 blue. They don't have any creatures of flying or reach, so we can attack in overhead for free. Alright, so those are things to consider. No blocks. The other thing you might want to do is, so eventually we're going to cast this for 3 mana, but I like to draw cards to get more information before committing that mana. So we still have access to 3, right? Keep drawing. This is fun. Okay, so now these will help close out the game because it gives us a more aggressive stat line. Other creatures you control flying get +1/+0. Alright. Now we also have a blocker. Nope. Alright. So again, draw into more information. There is additional stats, and that'll do it. Okay, so sometimes, you know, that might appear like bad manners, right? But taking a look, they do have 2 cards in hand, and they do have access to 4 mana, so they might, you know, have double death spells, so they could potentially, you know, kill both of our Windstorm Drakes, and then that would reduce the stat lines of these creatures. So that would be enough, but the thing you want to do is get more information, make your decision, commit to an optimal line of play, and then worry about having fun or going for the win. That's up to you. All right, game 2 against green. So we're blue, we're trying to fly overhead, and then we might have some disruption to, you know, bounce our opponent's creatures. So our 1-drop here is Defender. When it enters, scry 1. So what card would help us? We already have 3 lands in hand, so we can go ahead and put this on the bottom of our library. This will help us block against creatures with power 3 or less. Or it could chump down the road. So again, we're considering our turn 3 and our turn 4 play. So if we cast the Warden of Evil Sile, that'll discount our 3-drops into 2-drops. So on turn 4, we'll have an easy double spell. Playing out their Elysian Caryatids. Go ahead and draw. Go ahead and draw. All right, unsummon. So that's the interaction we're talking about. So from their end, you know, if they play out a green creature, okay. So this has got reach. So we kind of want to clear the way for our flyers, right? So especially since we drew a second one here, we can do that now before combat. We can do that before they declare blocks, but we'll just save time. Attack in with our flyers because the way is clear. And then we have our second unsummon if they happen to play out the spider again. So they commit, you know, 5 mana here. And then we are going to effectively gain the advantage, right? We're going to use a 1 mana spell to counteract their 5 mana spell. So our cheap blue interaction there really won us the trade-off in resources. All right, now we get a 4/6 on the ground. That's also evasive if you commit 7 mana to it. Which, right now, they can block 1 of our 3 flyers. So there's guaranteed 4 points of damage, assuming they don't have any other interaction. And then we can also get 4 guaranteed damage by paying 5 blue. This creature can't be blocked this turn, so we'll just do that now. Then attack in. So blue does have some evasive creatures in the sense of flying, obviously, but then they also have access to creatures that have, you know, the unblockable stat line. A lot of rogues. Invisible Stalker comes to mind. So a lot of cool stuff in blue. And then again, showing the power of cheap interaction. So it doesn't, you know, it's not black where it destroys target creature, but an out-tempo play. So they paid 5 mana for a creature to have something reach out on the board, and we just paid 1 mana to put it back in their hand and force them to replay it. So that's how we gain the advantage. So blue will have some tempo wins against other colors. All right. Going up against white. So white has cats, they have soldiers, they have life gain. They tend to have game plans that go wide. So, you know, we might have disruption where we bounce their token creatures to hand. So when tokens get bounced, they actually fizzle. They don't go to hand. So we get a Waterkin Shaman. When a creature you control while flying enters, this gets +1/+1 until end of turn. There's a Double Striker. This can enter. Card. This comes at 3/2. I think we're going to attack in. So This 1/1 double strike effectively would do 1 point of damage at first strike, and then 1 point of damage at normal combat damage. So it will deal 2 damage if it chooses to block. I think we're going to offer the trade because I think their game plan is to pump up that guy. So I don't mind giving, trading our 2-drop for their 2-drop if they choose to block. All right, they do. So our creature normally had a 1 point of toughness, so it would have died in the first strike damage, but since we played a flyer, it grew to a 3/2. The 2 toughness survives 1 point of first strike damage, and then a normal combat damage resumes, and we dealt 3 to their 1 toughness, and they did their 2 to the 2 toughness of this creature. So that's what happened there. Got a lot of unsummons. This is not a good target. I'm not sure why our opponent cast on our creature, but they did. So we could, return target creature to its owner's hand. We could do that in our Cloudkin Seer and then replay it to draw a card because we're kind of flooding out. But it's got that nice buff on there. I don't want to waste resources. Our opponent was doing us a favor by casting this. There you go. Thanks. Do they interact? Okay, so now we'll probably want to do it. So they were going to make that unable to attack and block. Now we actually have something to do on our turn. Draw a card. And we have an additional unsummon. Alright, we don't really mind that. If they commit more resources. Yeah, we'll just do this for the fun interaction, right? So that fizzles. Alright. So now, we have 6 mana. Riddle Master Sphinx. When this creature enters, you may return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. We'll go ahead and do that. So it's a great tempo card. Big action. We got a 5/5 flyer out there. And they're growing our Sphinx. We're going to draw at least twice, right? Get a little bit more information. Still have access to an unsummon as we play our mana out. Back in with our 7/7 flyer. Alright. Do they have another pacifism? Nope, they just played out a land. Okay. We can take the damage. Alright, with this information, we'll just play this out and attack. Alright. So, I guess that was demonstrating the value of, out-tempoing. So they tried to cast pacifism on our creatures. You can use unsummon on your own creatures. And then especially if there's an enter the battlefield effect like draw a card, you might be well positioned to do that. If you're liking the video, please consider subscribing to the channel or giving me a like. Much obliged. Alright, island. Flint. Okay. So red's trying to go fast. This is not the best body stat line to block, but we don't want to block these guys because he would produce a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Alright. Glint. Target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains hexproof until end of turn. Does our opponent have a burn? No. Not yet, at least. Alright, the Spell Gorger Weird. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Go blocks. Alright. We have access to 4 mana. We also have 2 instants. So we'll attack in to offer the trade against the Gorger Weird here. They don't. Yeah. In that case, we'll draw a card. Hopefully we draw into a land or something useful here. We lost 2 points of damage. That's okay. And then we'll have the unsummon at the ready. That is a creature. No blocks. Alright. 5 mana. So now we're going to apply a bit of pressure. But in doing so, we're going to go shields down. So if we commit 5 mana, these grow to 3/2s. This also grows to a 3/1. But we won't have our defensive instant spells. But, you know, that's a decision you can make for mana efficiency and try and apply pressure. We're just going to play it out before combat here and then attack in. They block there and there. That's fine. We have a board state that goes overhead. I don't think you're supposed to do it like that. Or that. Okay. Now we have all these defensive instants at the ready. And they're on a 2-turn clock. Uno más. It's not supposed to work like that. Okay. Alright. Our opponent doesn't know what they're doing. Draw a card. Lands are good. Attack it. So what could have gone differently there? They had their Spellgorger weirds. So, you know, if they had sequenced it right, they could have active treason our creatures. Those are typically the target your opponent's creatures. And then they could have shocked. So yeah, there could have been a way where if these were still on the field, they could have gained advantage. But we applied a bit of pressure, attacked in, offered the trade, and then took that game plan offline. Which, honestly, that's the strength of red if, you know, they popped all these off and attacked in. So it was closer than it looked. We're gonna mulligan. Alright, this is better. I'm gonna get rid of the Octo Prophet here. I don't think this is gonna do much, but we'll see. Lesnia. Oh boy. Big and scary. Charming Prince, that's a card. Gain life, scry 2. Yeah. We're going to try apply pressure. Play a creature with flying, attack him with 3/2 and see if they block. They do. Alright. Hopefully we draw into some more powerful flyers. Oh boy. Draw a card. Hands. Back in. Delney Streetwise Lookout. Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures of power 3 or greater. If an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. They likely are not going to attack in with that. Yikes. So we have a defensive spell, but I don't think it's going to matter here. Gives creature +0/+3 and gains hexproof until end of turn. What? Hey there, cons. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you out there in the plane of Tarkir.